Henry.
Minutes. I don't have to get up anymore, so just so you know.
Oh, okay. Hot mics in 2 minutes.
Yeah, can you let us know when it goes on and when it goes off?
It's gonna go on in about 1 minute.
Oh, so it's like
Go ahead.
auto set.
Select this.
It's auto.
Hi, Steve.
Look at you. I'm talking about this technology.
I know, we were.
Alright, so I'll start watching my language.
Yeah. Why start
Wait,
now, Rick?
hold on, as soon as it comes on, I'll be like,
Let's do it.
Yes, Steve.
If I
Hey,
have
Brian.
time.
Good evening.
Hi, Jim.
Are you gonna do
I was gonna ask you, because he should come in and just give us find out the school year or something. Yeah, let's do that.
So, on cameras. I just wanna give him a heads up.
Yeah. I'm glad you're figuring out things for him.
We don't need to talk about it, but
I'm happy that Misha met Archie the cat today, and really well.
oh, you got a new one?
It was a lovely little.
So you have a new one?
No, the senior center.
Oh, see, I don't know the cat's names over there. Yes.
There's just,
So your dog and the cat met.
yes.
Put it in like grade school terms for me next time. It's easier for me.
Misha and Archie met and they're buddies.
Got it. Oh, how do I get through the day? I don't know.
Get this for your own records.
Yeah.
What is that? Day in the life of Bill Schneider in front of county council.
I can't take it.
Wood hit a home run
No, I
again.
don't have it.
Yeah, it's 4-0.
Hi, Chief. Good evening. Good evening. I don't fight.
Yes.
Jump through this
Yeah.
so we can make a decision. Okay.
Generally,
That's
here's
exactly what I
Something's
was
wrong.
prepare. Here's how you can best prepare for the discussion.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think that's.
How you doing tonight, Mayor? Thank you. Keep you calm.
Oh, I am.
Fucking red face
I am.
already.
I am in a
I know.
mood.
I could tell.
Issues and what's not.
Let's just take a deep breath and get through this night. We'll be all right.
Right.
I'm with you.
Pray with me.
All right, I'll lead. Since I'm probably the more holiest between the two of us.
Yeah, you got plenty of holes.
Look at the Father and Son of the Holy Spirit.
Well, and it leads to frustration.
I see the prayers at the table. The kids just look at me like, what's with this guy?
No, yes.
And I say, Sister Allen, 1972.
Yeah.
Sister Allen.
You know what I-
She was at St. Luke's, but this big.
Yeah.
She said he prayed twice. I send my prayers. I wasn't praying twice.
No, and I remember my daughter heard that, and she was just like, really? She's like,
See? She was St. Luke's?
no, because when she
She heard that?
was in St. Chris.
Oh, yes. St. Chris.
All right, are we ready?
Texas Senate races tonight.
Ready, okay.
Have a big election there.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight for our committee meeting on Tuesday, May 26, 2026. We're going to start off with local government and community services with Councilwoman Waring.
Thank you, Council President. We do have one issue this evening that we're going to discuss in addition to an ordinance and a resolution. Thanks, I didn't have it up yet. So this evening, I think where we're going to start is with the rec center, and I see Director Kemp is here. So I know you guys are still setting up. I don't mean to rush you as you get a second. I think the purpose here is to tell us how the project is going, when we can expect to see the facility open, and what preparations we've been making as we have gone through the project to make sure that we are ready as soon as we get the keys. So I'll give you guys just a minute. When you're ready, the floor is yours.
Oh, hi, Chief. Snuck in on me.
Aziz, lights.
Some technical difficulties.
We could skip them and go ahead. and do the next thing.
Yeah, all right. If, Carrie, are you good? Do you want us to skip to the next thing, or are you? Okay.
I want to be good. Like,
I think you're good.
okay. All right. Oh, excellent. Yes. All right. Thank you. Yes. Can everybody see the screen okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Again, Carrie Comp, I'm the rec director. Really want to thank everybody for their support throughout the project. As you know, it's been quite a journey over this last 13 months. As has been mentioned prior, we're essentially starting an aquatics division from scratch. All right, just laying the groundwork for that new facility, supplies, equipment, new programs, policies, procedures, staffing. It's a new division that we are starting from scratch. Our last update was approximately 2 months ago, and that presentation can be found on our website. And we'll soon have this one up on there as well. Just a few things to go through. All right, since that last presentation, we've had a lot going on, and we're getting to the point soon where we're going to be able to open our facility. Please keep in mind that we still have a lot to do in these next few weeks, but some of the cool things that we've seen over these last couple months and really last couple weeks, the slide and play features have been installed. So sneak peek on the play feature over here to your right. This thing is really awesome. All right, it's got a huge dump bucket up here that the kids are going to love. The new slide, the old slides, they went outside and came back in. One came back in, and the other one finished out in the splash pad area. This one is all self-enclosed, has a real cool, walk or stairway to get up there. It's a really neat, colorful feature that I'm really excited about. You can also see the blue liner system throughout our leisure pool. That is something that we've really been pushing these last couple weeks to try to get that. That was kind of the critical path forward in getting to a substantial completion. All the mechanicals are in place. The wave room repairs are done. Tiling is wrapping up with some of the finishing touches. HVAC is up and running. We've been running water and circulating water through the competition pool, which you can see over here. It's pretty awesome having water in our pool now, and water is supposed to go in the leisure pool this week, so we can start working through the circulation process and the pool air handling units, all of that stuff. Some more pictures here of kind of the liner system. Really exciting what we have going on in the pool right now. Final inspections are being lined up. Today we spent the day, and a very annoying day, testing all of our fire alarms. So that impacted everybody in our building a few times throughout the day, even our Cleveland Clinic folks with the alarms constantly blasting. But Tony spent some time over at our rec center today, and we went through, going through a lot of the inspection stuff, and we're starting to really move forward. Next week, we start a lot of training. over these next 2 weeks on the pool systems, the pool mechanicals, the equipment. We have to train ourselves, or I shouldn't say that. We have to get trained ourselves so we can train our staff moving forward. Moving forward, a few things to kind of talk about with where we're at over these next few weeks. All right, staffing and setting up our workspaces. All right, we really had a goal in place of hiring 50 to 60 lifeguards. On top of that, we need to get the lifeguard break room finished. We need to get the offices set up with furniture and workstations. We gotta get the lifeguard break room set with the workstation, cleaned up, all of those spaces, all of our supply closets that are kind of staging areas right now for equipment for construction, those all need to be cleaned up. That's all part of these next few weeks of that prep work needed in order to open. Our primary operational focus right now, from a just purely operational standpoint, Cindy and Vincent and our staff, is lifeguard recruitment, onboarding, and training. It's important that lifeguard staffing and safety operations are fully established before we can expand into additional programming areas such as group exercise classes and learn to swim programs and those type of things. Those are all things that we're working on right now to get ready. It may not be at the level that we had prior to closing, but we want to make sure that we are starting to put that groundwork in place. Some of the other things that we've been working on over these last few weeks, are certification classes. We've been partnering with North Olmsted and Berea on certification classes for our training and to try to get lifeguards ready to go. We have one more class coming up starting next week to try to get that last push to get as many lifeguards as we can in there. As we've discussed in previous presentations, we are also looking at a membership drive. The membership drive that we're going to have is going to start June 15th and run for a month. And what that will be is any new members that join during that time period will get 2 free months on top of their membership. That information is going to be going out in a postcard on or around July 1st, advertising our membership promotion, our membership drive, but also our Wave Fest, which I'll talk about here shortly. Some of the other things that we're working through right now are rentals. That's going to be really important, the revenue that we generate throughout our aquatic center. The rentals side of things, being other high schools or swim clubs or swim meets. We have our first swim meet scheduled for July 22nd, I believe, which is really exciting. It'll be the first official swim meet that I've seen with fans since I've been here, because we were live streaming all the meets before during that COVID year. So I'm really pumped up for that first swim meet, and our staff, they're excited about doing it as well. Other rental opportunities would be like swim clubs and other high schools that are in the area. As you know, before the pool closed, St. Ignatius was using our facility for their practices. We've been in discussion with them and some other schools in the area that are looking for top-notch space for their swim programs, be it practice or meets or both. Birthday parties, we want that to be a focus of what we do. That's a great thing that we're able to offer to our members and residents in the wave room. With that being redone, we are working on what that will look like from a scheduling standpoint. And then a couple other things, the Rocky River and Westlake reciprocity, just to update you all on that, their members are going to have the ability to use our facility, just like we did with theirs during our first 18 months that we were shut down. They gave us 18 months to work with their pools, and we're really great partners for us. Their projects should be done by the end of the summer, and we are going to provide space for them during that time But one of the great byproducts of this collaboration that we were able to work out with them is we were able to get our residents access to their outdoor pools through a purchase of a membership. So I know quite a few people have taken advantage of that already, so much so that Westlake is already sold out of their summer membership allotment that they had lined up for us. Rocky River does still have quite a few left available, and what's neat is we finally have that access to those outdoor pools through that membership side of things. But as always, their collaboration with us is really such a key thing to our recreation department, and we're really excited to be able to continue working with them. The big one, all right, this is, I want you all to please plan to join us for our inaugural Wave Fest. It's a 3-day celebration that's going to include our ribbon cutting and our first splash on Friday, June 26th. And then the weekend is going to be full of events and activities. We're going to have a tropical luau on Saturday night. Our first inaugural Splash and Dash event, a rubber duck race through our channel current, open swim, group exercise classes, a movie. I think we finally settled on Lilo and Stitch after much debate. In our that's going to be in our competition pool, utilizing our brand new digital video board, and that's something that is going to be able to be programmed quite a bit. Our movies, dive-in movies, which I love the idea of being able to, float around and watch movies on our big digital video board. I'm a big fan of. I think we should show like Jaws in there, but I don't think anybody liked that idea of mine. I got vetoed on that one.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, Finding Nemo, that would be a good one. But really excited about that 3-day celebration, our Wave Fest. And postcards are going to be sent out on or around July 1st, June 1st. Ugh, July 1st would be a little late, wouldn't it? June 1st, leading up to that promotion that we have for our membership drive and for the event to try to get people to come. Great thing about this event, it's for residents and members only. Regardless of the reciprocity that we're working out with Rocky River and Westlake, they understand that our residents and our members have to be, first when it comes to these type of celebrations and events, and that's what we're gearing towards. The QR code, I think, is live and active. More information is being posted. These events are going to require tickets. That helps us keep track of how many people are going to be there. Also, we do have limits on some of the things, like some of our exercise classes and those type of things. So, and it's, our first opportunity to get people to sign the new waiver that we got to cover, our pool through and everything. So really excited about that event, and I know the topics I had for tonight for a construction side of things were more about the operational sides and the fun stuff and things like that. I get to turn over the more informational and construction technical type things over to Roger and our team with that. So I guess it gives me an opportunity. Any questions for me on some of the stuff that I just covered here?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for covering all of this. It's very exciting to have this on the calendar. It's a long time coming. You had mentioned the membership promotion. If you could pass that information along to council, like the details of it, because I figure we're probably going to get a lot of questions about it, and we can also help push that membership information out there for you. But it sounds like there might be some caveats, so we want to make sure we're giving the right information.
The main caveat being, this is for new members. The promotion that we did for renewing members was locking in your 2025 rate, and everybody had an opportunity to lock in that. The new member side of things is going to be the new annual membership getting that 2 months. So that's the main caveat with that one, other than purchase during that time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it. Council, does anyone have any additional questions on this?
Madam Chair?
Please.
How's it going recruiting a sufficient number of lifeguards?
I think it's going pretty well. I mean, obviously, we had really lofty goals to begin with, and we do know that the pool is going to take a lot of lifeguards to effectively and efficiently be safe and have the proper coverage. We're still working through a lot of that, and we won't fully know exactly how many are needed until we're able to get water in that pool and see the lighting and the reflection and testing the zones out and everything and making sure that we have the adequate number of lifeguards that we need. As safety in anything that we do is our number one priority in the recreation department. And we do have a really neat thing that's going to help assist us. It's called the Angel Wings.
Yeah,
And-
it's a piece of equipment, well, several pieces of equipment, where you drop these items in the bottom of the pool in all the different spaces, and then you make sure that all of those can be seen, and then you know how many staff you have to put on, to be able to see all of the areas that are open at that time.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that we're kind of looking forward to. I do have some numbers. Today I kind of wrote out some things. The pool's gonna be open.
Excuse me, can you go to the
Yeah.
microphone so that
Cindy.
it can be?
Yeah, let me
picked up?
introduce, you guys have all met Cindy before. This is Cindy Cherney. She's our aquatics manager, and she's the brains behind a lot of this operation, obviously. But she's going to go through a few of these
Just a
things.
couple of, some data points, because it's sometimes hard to imagine, like you have a pool, put somebody there to watch it. It's easy. But we have 92 hours of pool time that is open on a weekly basis. The guard hours required to cover that is 722 hours. So if I have only 20 guards, each guard has to work 36 hours a week. If I only have 25 guards, they have to work 29 hours a week. So our goal is to have 50, but if we get to 35, they only have to work 20 hours a week. But we do have a lot of kids that only work 10 hours a week. So that's why we need the numbers that we need. And then the process of hiring them and then training them on top of that. So that's probably I had higher hopes to do more programming, but we've got to kind of focus on that first. I
Okay.
just wanted to kind of get that information out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Does that help?
It does.
Good, yeah. Good. I mean, it's a very large number of lifeguards that we're going to need just for the leisure pool. Eh, Yeah, well, not quite that many, but and then unfortunately, to start off, there are going to be times where we might have to shut down different areas of the pool just to make sure that we are, operating safely in every other aspect, and that is going to be a process that we're going to have to figure out based off of usage patterns and everything as well. So our goal is to always have 2 lap lanes available for our patrons for lap swimming. The slide doesn't need to be open when, there's no kids in the pool or none of you that want to go down the slide. But we have to, make sure we're operating at a safe standpoint. The slide takes 2 lifeguards just to operate that safely. So figuring those type of things out. The kids area does that need to be open when they're in the early mornings when, kids are still sleeping? No. So there's a lot of operational things that we have to figure out still and base it around our staffing needs and what we're able to legitimately staff to make sure it's safe.
We currently have 28 guards going through the process of hiring.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
And then to add
Any other questions for me before I turn it over?
What was that number of lifeguards again?
28.
28. Thank you. I wanted to make sure I had that right.
With one sold out class coming up here soon and an opportunity to continue adding more classes as we, continue, building that staff up and get people in there to train and CPR certifications, those type of things. All right, now the technical stuff. Roger, all yours.
Before. Good evening. So Gary gave you the update as to where they're at with their programming and everything else. From our perspective, we're winding down. So this is where we pass the baton to Gary and his team, and they take it over. So the rest of this week, we're finishing up some of the final touches on the work. We're doing some final inspections. We had fire alarm, as Gary stated today, in those passed. We still have some more inspection the rest of this week, leading into next week, which would be the big one with the Ohio Department of Health. So once we get that achieved, then we can, at that point in time, achieve substantial completion, which means that the job is technically substantially complete. Doesn't mean that they can open. As Carrie stated, they still have a lot of things to do in between that day and opening, which they're already working on it. We're also working with Gary and his team on all the training on the different pieces of equipment that we have installed throughout the project, and myself and the design team and Welty are starting to work on the closeout documents, which is going to be your big owner's manual, all the as-built drawings that we're going to have to submit, closing out the project financially and you know, technically as far as the closeout and all the owner's manuals, the as-built drawings and everything else. So this is what's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks from our perspective, and then our goal would be to have the project from a paperwork standpoint and everything else completed by the end of June. That's the goal on our end. But from a construction perspective, I think by whenever we achieve the ODH next week, we don't have a specific date on it yet, but sometime next week we'll be there. Questions?
Council, any questions? Okay.
Well, that was easy. It's the first time you guys didn't have questions. That's good.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here this evening. And Carrie and Cindy and Vincent and I'm sorry, I forget your name, but I know you're from Brandstetter. Nancy, thank you. No, thank you guys for all being here this evening. It's wonderful to be sitting here where we are like, okay, we've gotten our questions answered, like we kind of know. I think there will be some conversation after closeout, evaluating how the project went, things we could have done better, those ideas, so that if we're doing another project in the city, we can figure out what those lessons learned are. So I wouldn't say that the questions are complete, but probably for tonight, you're going to get off pretty easy.
No problem. We'll be back whenever you want us to.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you again for being here this evening. That does conclude. I guess I should ask Mayor, do you have any comments that you'd like to add, or is that
No, I'm happy that we're coming to a conclusion.
us too? Okay. So then let's go ahead and move on to ordinance 2628, which is amending section 929 solid waste collection charges expiration date. So this one is related to.
we didn't vote on keeping
Oh,
the committee.
thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to make a motion. Guys, this one might be winding down. We might finally be able to take this one out of committee like in a month or two, which is great. But in the meantime, I would like to make a motion to keep it in committee. There's still a lot of work we have to do here.
Second.
Thank you. Pat,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Sarah, yes. Rick?
Yes.
And Kim?
Yes.
All right, motion to stay in committee passes 7-0. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to take a look at is the ordinance 2628, amending section 929.09, solid waste collection charges expiration. So for this one, as you all know, we have charges that we do assess to our residents for solid waste collection. It is not the entirety of the amount that it costs for us to do that. But we do have to pass legislation every year which talks about that. So I don't know, Mayor, if you'd like me to turn it over to you and you can give us the lay of the land with the ordinance?
Well, Jen, do you want to talk about it basically since it involves funding for our rubbish pickup?
Yes, if I may.
Please.
Yeah, this ordinance, along with the assessment, as you stated, is technically housekeeping. So this one in your committee is just to extend the ability to set those charges by ordinance so they don't expire at the end of this year, but we have one more year going into 2027. So that is what is before you, and then I can discuss the other ones in the next committee.
Okay, thank you. So the extension would be, like Jen said, from December 31st, 2026 to December 31st, 2027. So essentially that is just, yes, we are passing that we will extend that. So that being said, are there any questions? Okay. The only thing that I will add, just for historical reference, is that this was a charge that was developed 15 years ago, maybe, as a one-year charge. And I believe that at this point it's probably become standard operating procedure, for better or for worse. So just want to have it on the record that that is the history of it. Any other questions? I'll make a motion to put this on second, subsequent third reading.
So moved.
Second.
Pat?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Sarah, yes. Rick?
Yes.
And Kim?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. And then the last one that we're going to talk about is Resolution 2609, which is renaming the DEI Coalition. This is legislation that was developed coming out of the conversation that we had 3 committee meetings ago, I think, maybe a little while ago. But we did kind of walk through all of the changes that as a committee we felt were appropriate and then push those into legislation. So at this time I will ask if there are any questions or comments on that legislation. No, easy when you have the discussion first, right? Then I will make a motion to put this one on second, subsequent, third reading.
So moved.
Okay. Pat?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
Sarah? Yes. Rick?
Yes.
And Kim?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. So the meeting is now complete at 7:30 p.m.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Next up, Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development, Councilwoman Mann.
Thank you, Council President. This meeting of the Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development Committee is called to order at 7:29. 3 items are on the agenda. First, we will be discussing Ordinance 2626, authorizing requests for RFPs for design services for the Lorraine Road project. Who in the administration would like to, okay, I see Megan is raising her hand. Megan Otter.
Hello. Okay. So this is to start the designing process of the Lorraine Road project. The city has, just make sure I get the numbers correct. We have $1.4 million in CMAQ funding, which would update our lighting system. And we have $1.8 million in urban paving money for Lorraine Road. At one point, they were on 2 separate fiscal years. We were able to move them to the same fiscal year. So we have over $3 million for the project. And that's what this design is for, to kick off the design of the new lights, paving. We're also not part of this scope, but we'll have C&K look at the sewers. So just trying to do all our due diligence with the project before construction starts.
Okay. So you mentioned CMAQ money is involved. That's the congestion mitigation and air quality. So
Yeah.
it sounds like it's to move traffic through
Correct.
more quickly or, efficiently,
yeah.
yeah, so that we
It's
don't
like
have.
the lighting system, and we also have updating our fire, emergency services, police, with the different types of sound, lighting. There's different types of things that will navigate that during the design process.
Okay, I remember when we were talking about the Lorraine corridor redesign. Is this part of that?
Kinda, so it's somewhat going hand in hand. So we did have American Structure Point take a look at Lorraine Road. As you know, we have done countless studies on Lorraine Road, and they all say various things. So American Structure Point have taken all of those and put it in one comprehensive document, and it's a preliminary engineering study. And they will actually be here June 8th to talk about that study.
Mhm.
So you can hear that from them. And then it's just preliminary, so we'll see how it can translate into actual design. But that's where we're trying to navigate that, how that will look.
Okay. Before I got on council, you were taking a lot of public input in sessions up at the Gemini
Correct.
regarding what you like to see multi-use buildings in this stretch, bringing bringing bike lanes in, having bump outs for buses and
Yeah.
crosswalks.
Yeah.
So this is all included in that
So
because,
it's taking all of the previous studies that have done.
Mhm.
I don't wanna say we're taking a new approach, but we've done all the green dots, all the posters, and they've all told us different things.
Mhm.
And that's what all these studies have done, so that's where American Structure Point has helped us take all of that. And we're trying to figure out the best way of getting feedback that is maybe a little different than what we've done in the past. So one idea we had was going more towards the businesses on Lorraine Road.
Mhm.
So it's just we're still navigating all that, but trying to maybe take a different spin on things that have been overdone.
Okay. So one of the things that was mentioned in this legislation was traffic calming. And I remember previously they had talked about, and also you mentioned increasing parking on Lorraine.
Correct.
So is this, like how was discussed earlier, going down to a single lane in each direction through the business district?
That is a possibility that has been explored with the preliminary engineering study that
Okay.
American Structure Point has done. We're trying to do it with not moving curbs.
Okay.
So that's where striping is getting a little creative and how we can do that using the funding that we currently have. So what American Structure Point will take a look at and show you guys on June 8th is a short-term plan and a long-term plan for Lorraine Road.
Okay. Is this
because-
dealing more
yeah.
with the short term?
Yeah, so this will be the short-term. Long-term is a couple years out probably.
Mhm.
But we're trying not to do things twice.
Right.
So-
So one of the things you had mentioned too was replacing curbs and rampings, things like that. And it had been mentioned earlier that we have a lot of traffic crossing, turning left, multiple driveways. So
Curb cuts and all that.
curb cuts, yeah.
Yeah.
So is this all part of the initial short-term phase, looking
Yeah,
at
so
trying to
it will-
reduce that?
That's where parking comes into play, to
Mhm.
kind of offset some of that, because we don't have the funding to go through and wipe all of those out.
Mhm.
So that's where American Structure Point helped us with that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and like I said, they'll be here on June 8th.
Okay, so this is gonna go in phases, this is a short-term.
Correct.
The short-term part of the
It's
plan.
the funding, we're just not have all of it right now. And then trying to get the paving done because it desperately needs it. And then also looking at the sewers to see what's underneath.
Okay, and you said you were coming back to council with a presentation?
Yeah, June 8th, American Structure Point will come and present the preliminary engineering study.
Okay, great. Does anybody on council have additional questions?
If I may.
Yes.
Megan, thank you so much for presenting this and then also for setting up that presentation. I anticipate I'm going to have a million questions
that's
on June 8th. But primarily, I think what I would be looking for in that presentation is kind of an outline of what does this project look like?
Mhm.
What is the phasing? Where is the funding coming from?
Yep.
and most importantly, like what is changing, right?
Yep.
So if we say 2 lanes, but the 2 lanes look completely different than the 2 lanes that they are right now, that would be important to know.
Yeah.
So I just figured I'd outline that for you now so that everybody is prepared on the 8th.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and they've done an excellent job, and this is kind of their bread and butter. They also helped Rocky River with Center Ridge project. They were the designers on that project as well, American Construction Point. So we're in good hands.
That's the project that went from like in front of the Giant Eagle all the way out to
That's currently
Westgate?
on right now.
Oh, that's currently
Yeah.
being built. Okay.
Yeah, because the funding sources we have for Lorraine Road are almost identical to what Rocky River has.
Okay. So they did their CMAQ a couple years before we did. So the other thing that I would be thinking about, and you may not have the answer now, and that's totally fine, Junie, that sounds great, is what is the timing of that? So are we looking at, a proposal in 2026 and construction in 2027, or a proposal in 2027 and construction in 2029? Like, those
So
are the
it would kind of
questions.
start 2028 and go into 2029.
Okay. Okay.
So we're still off, that's why we're trying to get the design underway, to kind of what Councilman Mann's point was, trying to get the feedback of people, that engagement side of things, but trying to do it maybe a little different.
No, I appreciate that. And then the last thing that I would say is, as we're talking in terms of design, I don't know the full scoop of what's going on Center Ridge Road. I've seen a couple things that the City of Rocky River has put out, but the project is not going well from a construction standpoint from what I have picked up on, just from what they've publicly said.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I guess the question would be, are there ways to mitigate the amount of time it requires? Can we do it in a condensed time frame? Are there ways to learn from what is happening on the Center Ridge Road project? Which I understand the design, like you just brought it up
Yeah.
regarding design. Design is not construction. This is
Correct.
not.
Yeah.
But can we learn anything from them so that we don't have Lorraine Road sitting the way that City or Rocky River's Center Ridge has been sitting for the last 2 months?
Yeah.
So those are some other thoughts that are going through my head. Just
Yeah.
if we can think about them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of learning lessons with that. Even, all our construction projects, they happen to be all at the same time.
All in the same spot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes funding, that's how it works. So that's why it was nice getting everything pushed back a little bit with the 2 funding sources happening at the same time.
Okay. Awesome. I appreciate you bringing that to us in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair.
Sure. Any other questions? No? All right, then at this time, I will recommend putting ordinance 2626 up for second, subsequent third reading. Councilman Lang?
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
I think, aren't we going to have it in committee next time with the presentation?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that, thank you. All right, well then, we'll put it up for second read and return to committee. All right, Councilman Lang.
Yes.
Councilman Minnick.
Yes.
Councilwoman Greenfield?
Yes, but we didn't do a second. Is that okay?
Yeah, you don't need
Okay.
a second in committee.
Yes.
Council President. Okay, Councilwoman Waring.
Yes, thank you.
Councilman Raley.
Yes.
And I will vote yes. And the motion passes. Next up on the agenda is ordinance 2627, authorizing agreement with USDA for deer culling. Is Henry the presenter on this?
I will be your presenter.
All right, present away, Henry.
So under the approval of council and your guidance, I reached out to contractors to do a sharpshooting program for the city. Believe it or not, we had exactly 1 contractor submit a proposal, and that is presented for you tonight. The proposal comes in to take up to 100 deer at approximately $56,000, which is actually $18,000 less than what we originally budgeted for. So, yay to cost savings. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. But this is just the next step in what we'd already discussed and what you guys requested. So,
Okay, so I have a question about the creation of the deer management plan. Is the administration writing a deer management plan, or will the Division of Wildlife work with you to develop a deer management plan. My understanding is like Brooklyn, they came in and they actually did the mapping of the herd using heat, heat mapping for with using drones. Is that part of the standard procedure when we work with the USDA and the Division of Wildlife?
So the USDA already completed a survey, deer survey of the city. They found that there's 25.8 deer per square mile, which is substantially above the 10 to 15 that we have recommended. However, this survey does only represent a minimum population estimate. The USDA will come in and work hand in hand with the Ohio Division of Wildlife for that plan. And then once we get them under contract, the next piece coming to you guys will be the changes in the city ordinances to allow for a management plan to take place, as well as site establishment and a plan with the USDA and permitting. I'm sorry, a plan with Ohio Division of Wildlife and permitting.
Okay.
There will be some lift within the city that we will have to take care of. Those are also outlined in this proposal. So.
Okay, and it keeps saying that the USDA has to, or that the USDA requires that the deer management plan must be approved. Whose approval specifically are they looking for? Is it the Division of Wildlife? Is it the city council? Who's got to sign off on this to satisfy the USDA that they can move forward and help us with this?
We have to approve the contract, which is a cooperative service agreement with the USDA. Once we get that, we reach out to the Ohio Division of Wildlife, ask for 100 permits that the USDA will be taking on behalf of the city of Fairview Park, and then the Ohio Division of Wildlife will approve the plan once the USDA establishes it. I
Okay.
can throw in a couple more acronyms if you'd like, but
No, no, but they specifically said, the USDA said that the deer management plan had to be approved before they could partner with us on this. So is that all there is to the deer management plan, is just saying we're going to pull 100 permits and take up to 100 deer?
no. The USDA will outlay their plan in conjunction with us. That has to be then submitted to the Ohio Division of Wildlife Services, and they have to authorize it and say, yep, good to go.
Okay,
move forward.
so it's the Ohio Division of Wildlife that has to
Yep.
approve it.
And then ODNR is the one who actually issues permits.
Right, and so the Wildlife Service certifies the bait shoot sites. Has the city contacted residents who offered use of their property for this purpose? Were you able to get private property?
I have not reached out to anyone for private property. That would be a separate agreement that would have to be signed between us, the resident, and the USDA.
Okay.
And until we have the USDA under contract and Steve can review that contract, I was not going to reach out to anybody.
Okay, all right. Now, the processing costs for the deer that are culled, that's going to be in addition to the $56,000 of the contract, right? Or the cooperative agreement?
Correct. It all depends on how we want to handle the processing of the deer once they are taken. There are several options. The best option to the city is call this person. There's this list of people. I want a deer. They come pick up the deer, whole, and that's how it's handled. If we send it to a processing facility, we will have to pay for it.
Is that part of the deer management plan, how we will dispose of the carcasses? Whether it's to residents or whether it's donating the meat to charity?
As long as the deer is healthy at time of harvest, it will be donated. Obviously, if it has some disease when it's killed, it will not be donated. But yes, that is all part of the deer management plan.
Okay, because I know most cities they give the meat to the food bank.
That is what most cities do. However, the food banks are starting to get a little overwhelmed by venison.
Oh,
Believe it or not.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of people enjoy venison.
I have not seen it on there in stock there, so I'm surprised to hear that. It's always chicken. Chicken. Okay, so, and there was a mention in there that we had to provide a central processing building, like a garage or some type of outbuilding with running water and cement floor with drain, all that, they're not talking about the deer processing facility where these are gonna get butchered, right? This is some building in the city that they're referring to?
Yes, we're gonna have to provide them with some sort of garage where they can bring the deer in for the time being until they get picked up by the resident. Obviously, you don't wanna just leave them out in the back lot of the parking lot here and wait
Right.
for somebody to get picked up. So yes, usually the idea is you bring them inside, you store them there, they get picked up, and then you hose everything you can down the drain.
Do you have a building in mind for this?
I do.
Can I ask where it is?
No. Because I haven't asked the service director for permission yet.
Oh, okay.
Right now in front of everyone. Let's
Yeah.
put them on the spot.
So we're not using like refrigerator trucks to hold them and then taking them nightly to?
No.
Okay.
Usually they're picked up within the hour or 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody else on council have questions?
If I may.
Councilman Lang?
No, you covered.
Okay, Councilwoman Waring.
Thank you. So you had mentioned that they were going to take 100 deer, which
Up to.
up to 100
to.
deer. I'm sorry, up to 100 deer. Well, then that opens another question. So up to 100 deer, does that mean, right? Be careful what you clarify. Up to 100 deer, does that mean that they will give us a certain number of hours, and however many they can call in that number of hours is how many we take, or is it a matter of, if we don't get 100 in our site, what is the difference between up to 100 and 100?
Yes.
Okay, all of that.
The difference is multi-factor. The contract is for up to this amount, they are going to take up to 100 deer. There are substantial factors that come into play. Say they think they can have 5 sites and then all of a sudden it goes down to 1 site. Say we have 5 sites and then the neighbor next door decides to counterbait away from that site. So they commit a set amount of hours based on that number to take that number of deer, but there are weather, if it's not snowy or if it is snowy, if it's raining or if it's hot, or if there's some neighbor that wants to interfere with the process. So they are guaranteeing up to that price and up to that amount of deer, regardless of how many hours it takes.
Okay, but there are certain variables that may cause a problem there.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
Simple thing is if like the metro parks have a really good night, the following night in our city might be very bad. Vice versa also.
Okay.
So, because we are going, if you guys vote on it to go with the USDA, we are going to probably have a much better joint partnership with the Cleveland Metro Park, so it should be a much more productive program than most other cities get to see.
Oh, that's good to know. The other question that I had was, we said 100. I know when you had originally presented some information a while back when we were having the discussions, we had talked about how you take some and then the next year you take some more and it kind of goes down and then, deer gets smart and then you get lesser and lesser. But we came in at a cost savings. What is the reason we came to 100? Is it based on the survey that they did, or can we use the cost savings to get more? Like, what leeway do we have here?
The 100 deer is usually kind of like the industry standard. That's what you try to take. Okay. With the USDA, they usually try to do a management level guarantee within year 4 or 5, which is usually the case with cities is about 7 years. So they do it at a lot quicker rate. But I'm gonna continue to hammer them for surveys, say, hey, is the population being affected? We're bolstering our work order software with the service department for dead deer pickups. We already get all the reports from the police department. The only thing that we don't have, and then I don't know if we'll ever have, is how many deer accidents are reported to insurance and body shops that we just don't know about.
Okay.
So that's the only outlying number we'll never have.
Okay. And then I think my final question would be, I've actually not received any major information or like any outreach from residents since the first time we talked about this. I think I got a couple of emails in the very beginning, but there has not been any massive outpouring of support or not supporting. I wondered if anyone on council or if Henry, you've picked up any conversation.
I've been forwarded one resident's email stating that they don't seem to have a deer problem at Lawn Village. I would think because 2,000 residents live in about 5 square acres, you wouldn't have a deer problem, but that's the only email I've received.
Okay. And council same, not a thing.
My wife's making me sleep on the couch, but it's okay.
I've only heard from one resident.
One resident. Okay. All right. What I would ask is if we do start to hear an uptick as this is going through, if everybody could kind of pass that information along so that we can get a good gauge, especially because depending on where we have to put these sites, it may disproportionately affect one ward or a different ward. I don't know what that plan looks like. I wouldn't pretend to know. But I think it's important that we all kind of communicate that because it's such a citywide thing.
Well, and hopefully for the residents that are watching on the live stream, they'll understand that next week on Monday at our legislative meeting, we have public session, and they can come in and express their concerns or their support at that time.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks, Henry.
Jim, if I may,
Councilman Lang?
Yeah. So, Henry, you did mention that the deer population study had been conducted. Is there a quote-unquote hot zone or an area of greater concentration than other, just so we can kind of prepare ourselves for where the operation might be most heavily concentrated?
Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's a big old red spot in your ward.
I kind of had a feeling, which is why I was asking.
There and around Tri-City Park, as well as the Macbeth area, seem to have the most. I can vouch for that. There's at least 7 that love to find my front yard. There is a hotspot map, but again, only about I would say 2.7 square miles of the city was actually surveyed of the 4.69 total, so take it with a grain of salt. And they use infrared, like you said. So.
And they migrate.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes,
Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Mann, if I may.
Yes.
Henry, please remind me of when the culling would take place.
That is a fantastic question. It will take place between October and March. Not totally. Obviously, there'll be some front loading and some back loading, but that is usually when the culling process takes place.
And as a final comment, I'll just say that Brooklyn pulled 100 permits, and in their first year, what I read was they had culled about 41 deer. So, all right. Well, without any further questions, then I will move to put this up for second and subsequent third reading. Councilman Lang?
Yes.
Councilman Minnick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Greenfield?
Yes.
President King?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waring?
Yes.
Councilman Raley?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, and the motion passes.
Thank you all.
And the third issue up is Resolution 2608, prohibiting construction of a salt dome or fuel tank at 22100 Mastic Road. That legislation to purchase that property was voted down, so I move that we remove and table this resolution from further consideration.
So moved.
And Councilman Lang.
Yes.
Councilman Minnick.
Yes.
Councilwoman Greenfield.
Yes.
Council President King.
Yes.
Councilwoman Waring.
Yes.
Councilman Raley.
Yes.
And I will vote yes, and that motion passes. And the, I always have to look at the name of my committee, Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development Committee is adjourned at 7:55.
Great, thank you. Next up is Finance, Councilwoman Greenfield.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee meeting begins at 7:56 p.m. And the first two ordinances up for discussion, Ordinance 2629, issuance and sale of bond notes for the city sewer improvements, and Ordinance 2630, issuance and sale of bond notes for city street improvements. We have a presenter here tonight, Matt Stuzensky. And Matt, if you wouldn't mind stepping over to the podium.
Matt, go
Matt.
to the podium. That one's
The
not
live
plugged
one.
in. It's actually pretty bad. So.
All set. So, good evening.
Good evening.
Director Pay, I'm wondering whether or not you would like to just provide some type of context before I start rambling on?
Yes, I will provide some context. Thank you. So as presented in budget hearings late last year, the city is issuing debt for the construction of several large projects that are either ongoing currently and what we're calling is rolling the notes that we issued last year, which was $3 million. And then we have new projects that are to be kicking off, such as the sewer lining program that council approved about a month ago, and pump station work, as well as new money for West 200 10th Street. So this is a way to pay for these projects and to pay them off for the useful life of those projects. And then once these projects are complete, we'll know the final cost, and then we'll be able to go to long-term debt. So with that, I will hand it off to Matt.
All right. Good evening. Matt Stuzinski. I serve as the city's municipal advisor. So what Director Pay has just described is a fairly common strategy through a construction phase. We try to manage the issuance of debt to minimize how much debt we have outstanding. So as these phases are incorporated, we try to borrow just what we need for the period of time that we're going through a construction cycle. Last year was the issuance of $3 million, as Director Pay mentioned, for presumably 12 months of construction. We're doing this in the form of a bond anticipation note. State law, keep in mind, everything we do as it relates to debt issuance in a city is guided by that which is federal tax law, state Ohio revised code laws, and local law. So we're in compliance with all of those. And we have to keep an eye on all three of those as we consider the issuance of any debt. Short-term notes, one-year bond anticipation notes, are not used universally throughout the country. There's probably 10 states that use them to some high degree, Ohio being one of them. And it's really been, as I mentioned, more of a construction management tool, or it's designed to be a short-term financing vehicle for financing instrument for short-term useful life projects like vehicles or short useful life road projects that aren't full tear-outs and that have a 20-year useful life. Keep in mind the revised code has a prescribed useful life for many capital projects that it describes, but not every project is described as. For example, computers weren't even contemplated when the revised code drafted useful lives of some of these projects. So not everything is fully described there. The plan of finance is to issue another, we'll call it construction cycle, add to that. So at the end of this issuance, by the way, those $3 million worth of notes come due November 19, so we're starting nicely in advance, contemplating council's recess in the summer, that we'd be on track for getting these notes renewed, reissued prior to the date that those notes come due in November. But the point being, not uncommon to see cities issue roll bans, issue again, consolidate or aggregate these, possibly do even a third year, and then aggregate so that we have the critical mass to then go out and issue long-term bonds. Knowing that long-term bonds are an expensive endeavor. It takes a lot of staff time from an intangible standpoint, and there's considerable costs as it relates to the bond council's involvement, applying for a rating through Moody's as an example. We try to minimize those costs as we go through the construction cycle and keep an eye on the city's ability to even implement all those projects. So we try to make sure that we've got, as Director Pay mentioned, a good wrap-up of the construction costs, have it all aggregated, then know that we're ready to pursue a long-term financing that takes out all that short-term financing. That might be 2027, perhaps it might be 2028, depending on what might come next. Fairly common strategy we see is issue notes, consolidate, issue bonds. and it might sometimes run 2 or 3 years, maybe even 4, depending on the phasing and the wrap-up of the construction cost. As I mentioned, the notes come due on November 19. They come due in the amount of $3 million worth of principal, plus about $120,000 worth of interest. That's all being paid from sewer revenues. And the same would be true, I believe, of most of what's contemplated by way of the new issuance. You have before you 2 pieces of legislation, one for sewers, one for streets. Bond counsel who prepares this is Squire Patton Boggs. They like to see separate pieces of legislation with, we'll call it, within the parameters of a purpose. So they don't want one various purpose piece of legislation that says recreation, sewer, streets, whatever, building improvements. They try to stay in the lane of saying streets, sewers. If there were building improvements, there would have been likely another piece of legislation. But the 2 pieces you have before you are for the issuance of a total of $6,400,000 worth of 1-year notes, which we will issue and close before the other notes come due. So we will close these on November 18, the day before the other note, the 2025 notes come due. So you have $3 million to pay off the old notes that are coming due. The city will likely come out of pocket of existing resources for the interest expense from the sewer for this year. We're not going to borrow the interest that comes due. The only thing that I would add about the legislation that's different this year than last year, as we start to increase the size of this note, we look to capitalize on a program that's offered by the Treasurer of State called the OMAP, or the Ohio Market Access Program. Originally, this program started, it's a little over 10 years now, and it was designed to help weaker credits, weaker issuers in the state access the marketplace. And they would basically, I'm sure everyone here has heard of bond insurance, municipal bond insurance. This is basically the same concept, but it's for 1-year notes. It's offered by the Treasurer of State, and it provides a credit enhancement feature to the investor who buys these notes. And basically what it's designed to do, it allows weaker credits to access the market, but a strong credit like yourself, it gives you a small interest rate advantage. And we measure the cost of enrolling in that program versus what we might benefit from in terms of interest, a lower interest rate, because investors have a considerably more confidence knowing that the state's backing the debt issuance. Now, we all know it's general obligation debt, and we all know state law says debt gets paid first. So you're going to pay back the debt, but from an investor standpoint, as they think about how they're going to compile their portfolio, they like to have the rating that comes along with that credit enhancement program, which is an SP1+, which is the highest Standard & Poor's short-term rating. So we will look to apply for that. We didn't do that last year because we weren't at the critical mass that rationalized the cost, but at $6.4 million, we start to rationalize those costs to benefit the city. And that might be, I want to put it into perspective, that might be anywhere from $9,000 to $15,000 to maybe $18,000 worth of benefit. So we try to make sure that we apply for that. That does take a little more time as we ramp up for the sale of these bond anticipation notes, which would occur typically 2 to 3 weeks before the other notes come due. So we sell the notes in the early part of November, maybe the latter part of October, but we have to get all that OMAP application in, and so we appreciate council's consideration of this note legislation in the spring, so we're not bumping against it in September, October of next year. So with that, I'll stop and see what questions council might have. Thank you.
Any questions from the members of council?
If I may.
Yes, absolutely.
First of all, Matt, thanks for being here this evening. I think every time you have come and presented to us, I've asked you this question, and every time you have come back with a fine answer, so I don't expect any different tonight. But obviously, we have quite a few notes in the city. We have debt as a city. You mentioned that a strong credit like our city would not have an issue in this OMAP project, so I assume we're going to have a good answer here. But do you have any nervousness or concern about the amount of debt that we are leveraging, especially as we ramp up into more capital projects over the next several years?
So the city is rated AA2, which is, if you go back to the Moody's rating, we'll call it categories. There's 13 investment grade ratings. AAA, AA1, AA2. You're the third highest out of 13. All right, that reflects the city's 4 categories: debt, financials, administration, and economic profile. The city's debt is moderate, and that's why you're, with that, along with the other 3 variables, consider the city in the higher range of credits that are rated throughout the country. The AA2 in the state of Ohio looks like a AA2 in California, and you're well positioned as far as how the rating agency, Moody's, sees you in terms of its overall financial profile, debt being one of those. Now I'm going to modify that. Our debt is a moderate, our outstanding debt, long-term bonds, short-term notes, is considered moderate. Where every municipality in the state of Ohio has a drag coefficient is pension. So unfortunately, pension liability drags us down, even though our debt that we manage by way of the voted bond issue and by way of notes outstanding and old debt that's outstanding is considered moderate. We do get dragged down by the pension liability, like every other city in the state. So that does show up as a weakness to us, but it shows up as a weakness universally across all city credits in Ohio.
Okay, thank you for that answer. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Any other questions from council? Councilwoman Mann?
So if our pension liability is a drag on us, how much more room do we have for debt before that combined with debt and the other factors starts to affect our rating?
So it's hard to pinpoint an exact number, right?
Okay.
Because the pension liability is something you don't control, and that goes up and down every year. Not by a lot, but it does go up and down. When you think about medians, there's a medium, and I don't know that off the top of my head what the AA range is, but there's a medium for AA's. And it doesn't necessarily mean if you go out of that medium that you're immediately downgraded. It just means, again, you're trying to combine 4 variables. If there's economic strength and our fund balances are high, the issuance of debt, more debt, doesn't necessarily mean a decline in the rating. So it's the management of all 4 of those variables. The city has been very judicious about its issuance of debt. So can I give you an exact number? I can't, because the rating agencies, they measure all 4. There's 40 or so criteria that they're measuring in those, we'll call it, they're benchmarking each of those indices. I can give you, not off the top of my head, I won't do that, but I can shoot back to the director a range of where we're at relative to the medians in our peer group.
Okay.
By all means, happy to do that. That might give you some, we'll call it, confidence where we're at, but please know, just because you may go higher or lower that, doesn't mean necessarily that that's going to impact the rating.
Great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Director Pay. I'll look forward to hearing from that.
All right, any other questions regarding these 2 ordinances for bond notes?
I don't have one for Matt. Thank you for being here this evening, but I do have a question for the administration. In the memo that accompanied these 2 ordinances, it did discuss projects, and Jen, you had alluded to that, projects that began in previous years and new projects that will be covered by this. So the West 223rd Street water line and resurfacing construction, planning for an equalization tank, Stamford Avenue sewer water pavement replacement and construction, Woodstock Avenue sewer replacement and construction, that's a lot. And then new projects, West 210 repaving, 226 sewer lining program, 2026 sewer lining program, the West 227 pump station and the West Valley pump station. Is that an exhaustive list of what this bond anticipation note is going to cover?
Yes.
Awesome. And I just read them out loud, so nobody needs to do anything else.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
Director Pay, may I just add one more comment? Relative to where we were last year, we issued these notes at a 3% reoffer yield to the investor. We are slightly below that currently. These comparable notes of this size and this type of rating with OMAP are being sold in the range of 265 to 280, in that range. So even with all the geopolitical tensions and all the noise that's out in the marketplace, we're still nicely situated. Now, of course, it's May, and we've got to get to November before we sell these. But at least it has been consistent in that we, at least in the current environment, we'd sell these notes at a rate lower than we sold them last year at this time. I just share that for context.
Thank you for that. That adds some clarity. We appreciate that. Any other questions from council regarding, let me separate these, ordinance 2629, issuance and sale of bond notes for city sewer improvements? Any additional comments? Okay. Matt, I do want to thank you so much for coming out tonight. If we have no further questions, I'm going to have Matt just kind of hang out or go back to your seat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you as well. And thank you for hustling here. All right, so ordinance 2629, I'd like to make a motion to place this on second and subsequent third read.
So moved.
Now we'll take a vote. Councilman Lang?
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
All right, ordinance 2629 passes 7-0. Ordinance 2630, issuance and sales of bond notes for city street improvements. Any additional or further discussions on this ordinance? All right, with that, I'd like to place this on second and subsequent third read. A second?
So moved.
Second? We'll take our vote. Councilman Lang?
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. Waring? I'm sorry,
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. All right, moving on to ordinance 2631, solid waste fee special assessment for tax year 2026. Director Pay?
Yes, thank you. This, again, is, excuse me, standard, or has been standard operating, as in prior years. As Councilwoman Waring had mentioned before with the prior ordinance of Chapter 929 for solid waste collection. So that ordinance extended the expiration on that ordinance, and then these ordinances allow for, or council permits the administration to forward to Cuyahoga County to assess the properties. So ordinance 2631 is a solid waste fee assessment, and that is levied on residential units only at $156 per year, or $13 a month. This has not changed in many years. And as mentioned before, this covers a portion of the total fees that we pay to Republic for waste collection pickup. So this is permitting the assessment. And then the next ordinance, 2632, is a street lighting ordinance. And this is on all city properties, both residential and commercial. It's a percentage amount not to exceed $300,000 for the entire city. So it's just giving permission to allow for these assessments to occur, and nothing has really changed from prior years at this time.
Okay, so thank you, Director Pay. City Council, do you have any questions for Director Pay on the solid waste fees ordinance 2631, solid waste fees special assessment for tax year 2026? That one specifically? Councilwoman Mann?
So the 156 per residential household for the solid waste, what percentage of the actual cost per household does that represent? Do you have that off the top of your head? If not?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. If you could just send that to me. I'm just curious to know what portion of the per household fee the residences are actually carrying. And if I may, are we also talking about 2632 at the same time?
We will talk about that separately, so
Okay.
let's keep our
I'll hold-
questions
I'll hold my
specific.
question.
Hold that question until we move on to the next ordinance. Ordinance 2631, any other questions or statements regarding the special assessment for solid waste? Okay. With no additional discussion or questions regarding ordinance 2631, I'd like to move to place it on second and subsequent third read.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Lang.
Yes.
Menick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance passes, that vote passed 7-0. Moving on to ordinance 2632, street lighting for assessment for tax year 2026. Director Pay provided some context around this assessment. Are there any other further questions for Director Pay or from council?
Chair? Madam
Yes, Councilwoman Mann.
So the 300,000, does that represent the full amount that it costs the city for the street lighting services?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah. Okay. If you could, when you email me about the percentage of the solid waste fees, if you could also let me know what that percentage that the residents are actually paying of the total amount.
And also just to keep in mind, this is for all properties. It's not just for residents. So
Oh.
it's commercial. It's the total cost for all parcels in the city divided by 300,000.
Okay, so that's different from the solid waste.
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
Thank
yes.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mann. Any other questions from council? All right, thank you for that clarification, Director Pay. At this time, I'd like to move to put ordinance 2632 on second, subsequent, third reading.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Councilman Lang.
Yes.
Menick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Moving on to ordinance 2633, authorizing the contract with Smith & Obie for the boiler replacement. And we do have Henry here to talk to us about that tonight. Take it away, Henry.
I'll just put on one of my third hats for the evening.
Oh, please do.
Believe it or not, stuff's broke in the city and we have to fix it. So this ordinance is for both boilers at both locations here and at the Gemini Center. Not exactly sure what you want to know about boilers other than the fact that they're broken.
Councilwoman Waring?
I want to know lots about boilers. Actually, I don't. But I would question, are these boilers broken because they are at the end of their useful life? Was there something that happened to them? Do we know the situation regarding them?
Yeah, so the ones at the Gemini Center were obviously installed roughly 20 years ago, and those are definitely at their end of life. The ones here at City Hall were also end of life and were going to be replaced in a renovation. However, due to unforeseen circumstances and just the luck of how things go around here, other factors have come into play with those boilers, and it is time for them to be replaced. There are other components on each of the boilers that need to be replaced, and if we replace them now and then the boiler goes, it's just going to be a waste of money. That'd be the venting, the fluing, the supply systems, the radiant heat that goes through the buildings.
Okay.
It needs a complete and total overhaul. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, this is going to be an easier phased-in process than a complete gut removal than anything else.
I guess that was going to be my next question is, knowing that there will be a renovation, is this doable in such a way that we don't have to redo it during the renovation?
Yes. So the plan is to, instead of cutting out the heart and the limbs and all the intestines and all the veins at one time, we're going to try to piece it back together as a monster. I'll use this building, for example, because this is the building I understand. Kerry understands his building a lot better. There are ways we can do this building where once the boilers are replaced here, once we do a renovation and we change up things from rooms to offices, as those go along, we can replace those as well. So it's kind of going to be a top-down overhaul as opposed to a full gut and replacement.
Okay.
Henry,
Answer your question?
Henry, what is the warranty on these boilers?
The usual lifetime of a boiler is the same as a hot water tank, usually 10 to 15 years. Sometimes you
Okay.
get lucky and it's 20 years. Am I correct? I have my 2 expert witnesses in the back.
Thank you.
From Smith & Obie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilwoman Mann.
And Smith & Obie determined that these were improperly installed and that contributed to the failure. Is that correct?
I would not say they were improperly installed. I would say they have been abused over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And as a result, obviously due to maintenance changeovers, company changeovers, and issues of that nature, I believe Smith & Obie is probably the 3rd or 4th HVAC company we've had doing maintenance here in my short time. Last year, we terminated our contract with our chemical provider. So just changes in the process have gotten us to this point.
Okay.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Waring?
Thank you. This is not about boilers. I learned everything I needed to know. Regarding the process, I know Smith & Obie is our HVAC group. Like, they're our guys and gals. Is there a process for bidding the actual materials, or is this simply they're under contract with us, so we're going with them?
They are actually under contract with the state of Ohio
Okay.
through a collective purchasing agreement.
Perfect.
They also do all of the work for ODOT,
Okay.
most of the work for ODOT. And because of that, they have the best, not the best pricing, but a pricing option that is available to us. And then on our behalf, they go and beat up the suppliers.
So we already have state pricing. We don't need to.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
Easy. Okay, thanks for that clarification.
One of the biggest problems we've had over the years is, you have ABC company come in and install things, and then you have Smith & Obie come in and try to maintain it the year after and go, this was never supposed to be put into this location. So then we end up paying Smith & Obie a bunch of money to fix it. So
Thank you.
we did do an RFP process earlier this year, last year. We only had about 3 contractors apply, 2 of which we know. One is a breaking into the commercial space, but Smith & Obie actually provided the best proposal. So
Okay.
All right, fantastic. Any other questions for Henry regarding authorizing contract with Smith & Obie for the boiler replacement? Okay. All right, I'd like to move to place ordinance 2633, second and subsequent third reading.
Second.
Thank you very much. Councilman Lang.
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Riley? Rayleigh?
Whatever.
Man?
Yes.
All right, passes 7-0.
thank you all.
Thank you so much, Henry. Once again, look forward to seeing your 4th hat. All right, coming up next, we have ordinance 2634 authorizing owner's rep for the fire department, co-ed facilities. And we have Chief Raffin here to speak to us tonight.
So I'm going to start by solving one of Henry's problems because of the temperature in here. So when he does the deer culling, he doesn't even have to talk to service director. He can just hang it in here because it's freezing.
It is.
It's cold in here.
That's
So
because the
I've
boilers
solved
are
that
broke.
problem already for you. So,
Don't fix the
so
boiler.
really, I'm here to answer your questions about the just the modernization of the co-ed facilities at the fire department. You all have the memo. You all have all the documentation. So I really will open it up to you guys and gals as far as what you might want to know about the things. So with that, I'll shoot it to you.
All right, thank you so much, Chief Raffin, for hanging out in the icebox with us. We appreciate that. Any questions from council for Chief Raffin?
If I may.
Yes, Councilwoman Waring.
Thank you. And I guess I'll start with the big question.
Sure.
First, thanks for being here this evening. So my understanding is that R.E. Warner designed this project, correct?
That's correct.
So typically when we look at an owner's representative, don't we look for an impartial third party? So you'd have the person constructing it, the person who designed it, and then you would have a third party who could be the owner's representative?
Yeah,
And-
I don't not super familiar with the process, but I'll talk to Megan to go to that piece of it.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. I just
no.
want to know how we landed on Ari Warner as both an architect and the owner's rep, because that doesn't, to me, feel like it fills that like third-party arbiter role.
Yeah, I can understand that. So this project came to light when we did our City Hall campus project, our overall campus project, with the importance of getting co-ed facilities for chief and the fire department. It became a separate project with Ari Warner. So that's what we've kind of taken this out of the City Hall campus project and moved it over to its own. And so that's why we just decided to go with Ari Warner on that, because they're so familiar with the project in the sense of it's not a big comprehensive project, it's this little project out of a larger project. So that's why we decided to go with Ari Warner on this particular project, because of their knowledge of the building and the needs that we have.
I've had several meetings with them, well, more than several, because from the fire department standpoint, it's not just going to be a modernization just to make things better. It's needed, because if we're going to be competitive as we go into the future and be ready to accommodate both genders, we have to do it. Otherwise, we can't move forward. You know, the place was designed for a different
Time.
and different work.
Just needs to be
Makeup.
updated, yeah.
I mean, we had communal showers when I started. Okay, so we still do have communal locker room. We still have communal sleeping facilities, and we can't stay that way. And so the urgency of the project is there. We hired Kaylee back in July of last year. So it's something that we need to move forward with the meetings that I've had with Ari Warner. They seem very, competent in doing what they're doing. And then I know what I need. They can tell me how to do it. That's what it comes down to.
And if I may?
Yes, please.
I think to answer Councilwoman Waring's question about process, actually some of the frustration with the Gemini is we had already done a lot of the design and then had an owner's rep after the design was done. And this actually, by having the designer and the architect become the owner's rep, that works a little better instead of like they're the ideal people to oversee their plans. So they've done the planning, they can oversee the work, they can do the bidding, just look at it as well as, or kind of akin to what our city engineer does when they design and engineer projects and then do the bid specs and then oversee the construction administration. So it's similar along that line. So having Ari Warner, even though they've done the architecture and design, be an owner's rep, there isn't an issue. Actually, you would want them to oversee and they're most intimate with their work.
And then as far as how I feel about it on my side as the owner, and I've talked to Aaron Leonard, who's the chief in Rocky River, and they're in a similar process with the owner's rep. They're not going to move forward with anything unless I say, go ahead and move forward with something. So there's that protection, so to speak. Same thing in Bay Village with Chief Lyons over there. So I feel pretty confident about it because they know what I need, and they're not going to do something outside of those parameters.
Okay. So maybe what it sounds like is it's semantics, because to me, what you just described, Jen, was more construction oversight versus owner's rep. So if why don't I take a little bit of time and read a little bit more closely through their contract or the Exhibit A and see if I can answer my own question for feeling good. Because I'm not saying they shouldn't be involved and we haven't set it up correctly, but maybe I'm approaching it from a different mindset just because of that terminology. So I will take a look at that and then come back if I have additional questions.
Okay, I appreciate it. And yeah, and just to kind of keep it, in the analogy that I gave, they're going to, they've designed this work, They're going to help put together the bid specs. They're going to help us with the bids. And then when the work begins, they're going to, we don't know the plans. They know the plans, so they can oversee it. So that's their role in this project going forward, to serve as, basically the eyes and ears and help move it along. So, it would be similar, or like I said, akin to what our city engineer does on our construction projects. This is out of her wheelhouse, so we're hiring Ari Warner to do a similar role.
And then just one other thought too, not that time should be the dictating matter, but it has to be something we take into consideration. Because it's been a year already since we hired Kaylee. Hitting a reset button on this would push it another 18 months from where we are right now. It would push another 18 months and it would hit the reset button and start all over. But please, not by any means is time the dictating matter. You understand what I'm saying?
But it's important for us to understand consequences.
It's 100%.
100%. And then I guess the last question would be, this is for generally just co-ed facilities, the beds, the baths. Is there additional portions of the firehouse that will be done under this project?
It's just pretty much that,
Yeah, so
that section.
Yeah, so there was, when they had the whole campus project, there was a bunch of different things, but what really needs to be done is what was peeled off.
Okay.
Okay, so there wouldn't be any duplicity of work later on if the campus project comes through and they say, okay, we're doing anything. They're not going to tear anything apart. They're not going to say, let's start all over. What it would be was, hey, we need a locker room. We need a female locker room. We need the private bathrooms, so 3 individual bathrooms with a shower, a toilet, and a sink. We need that, no question about it. That will be done. The dormitory will be done, and then that'll be that piece of it.
Yeah,
And then
all the
any
work,
other-
like apparatus floor, stuff like that, is
That's separate
part
and
of
apart.
the other project.
Okay, so we just separated them.
Correct.
That is correct.
Yeah.
If you look through that memo, and it separates it, it just said the project includes 7 single-bedroom units, so that's the dorm piece of it, and then the 3 unisex bathrooms and gender-specific locker rooms. So that is it, where it, obviously, in everything that entails in those things, right? The electric, all that stuff that goes with that, but it doesn't get into, as Megan said, the apparatus floor, which we're gonna need at some point. It's none of that. It is just very focused on the fact that we have a huge need, just because of the fact that it was designed for, the whole department, the whole station was designed for a different workforce.
Sure. Okay. I appreciate all of that. Thank you for helping me wrap my head around it.
No problem.
All right, any other questions from council? No? All right, Chief Rappin?
Sorry.
Chief,
Mic drop.
Chief Rappin, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Megan Otter, of course, thank you for being here and providing additional context. Director Pay, we also appreciate your input here on Ordinance 2634, authorizing the owner's rep for the fire department co-ed facilities. I'd like to make a motion to put this on second, subsequent, third read. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Lang?
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Raley?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
All right, it passes 7-0. Moving on to ordinance 2635, authorizing the purchase of vehicles for the service department. Director Hitch?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
This is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 2 vehicles for the service department. Both vehicles will be used for supervisors, an Explorer for Supervisor Varga, and for Superintendent Gribble, we're going to get a F-150 pickup truck. The vehicles were in the budget. 1 vehicle was in the budget, actually, and then we had budgeted money for a backhoe to be purchased from the county. The county has reluctantly not put the backhoe up for sale this year. They're planning on keeping another year, so we're going to use that money to purchase another vehicle, because presently we have 3 vehicles that we're using in the service department that need to go out of the service department immediately. A 2014 GMC, which was left over from the fire department probably 8 years ago. We received it in service. We kept it going, but that's on its last leg. And we have 2 old police Explorers that we've been using. One's a 2017 and one's a 2019. The 2017 is just about out of commission. It's going to go up real soon on Gov Deals. All three of these are actually. And the 2019 is basically fill up the oil and check the gas on it lately, so it's on its last leg. So we're requesting for the permission to buy 2 new vehicles to replace these 3.
All right, thank you, Director Hitch.
Sure.
And is there any questions from council for Director Hitch about the purchase of these 2 service vehicles, or these 2 vehicles for the service department? Any questions? Okay. All right, I'd like to move to put ordinance 2635, authorizing the purchase of vehicles for the service department on second and subsequent third read. So, second? Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Lang.
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. All right, moving on to ordinance 2636, authorizing the sale of city-owned football equipment. Director Kemp? Sure. Got anything you want to share?
I think probably the best thing to do is just start with the resolution 2610. Right below that, we are receiving a donation of brand new football equipment from the Greater Cleveland Football Foundation to replace all of our football equipment this year. A really nice donation from that foundation that is looking at advancing amateur football, and our program was chosen this year as a vendor to receive this, or as a group to receive this, which pretty much doubles our stock of football equipment, and we don't have storage space for all of that. And a lot of that needs to be reconditioned or repaired, so it gives us an opportunity to sell that equipment and recoup some of the funds that we paid for it a few years ago with.
All right, awesome. So resolution 2610 is related to the donation, and then ordinance 2636 is authorizing the sale of said used equipment. And how will that be sold? And
So we think probably the best avenue for the biggest bang for our buck is at Play It Again Sports. So we're going to reach out to them and see what they have used for, what they need, those type of things. We had a private donor a few years ago that ran football through the rec department before we took it over, and he sold a lot of equipment through them and made quite a bit of money. So we think that's probably the best avenue versus putting it on a auction site and still trying to have to store this equipment until we're able to, get rid of it.
did you see that? Okay. Fantastic. Director Dever.
Just to clarify that when we do sell this, we're going to have a disclaimer that we're not making any representations or warranties as to the fitness for this equipment, and that we do not have any knowledge as to any of this equipment is subject to any recall or safety advisory, so that whoever is the subsequent purchaser is not going to get any promises or guarantees from the city as far as the quality of the equipment.
All right. And Carrie, that was your understanding as well?
Yes.
Carrie, how old is this equipment?
I believe it's 4 years old, somewhere in that ballpark. We just recently brought the tackle football program back in play in the last few years after a couple-year hiatus. So.
All right. Thank you for your question, Councilman Lang, regarding the age of the equipment. Any other questions from council regarding, let's start with Resolution 2610, the donation of the football equipment from GCFF. Any questions from council regarding that particular resolution? Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion to put that on second, subsequent third, or are we going emergency to third reading?
You talk resolution 2610?
Is there a time concern?
Is there a time concern?
There is a bit of a time concern for the sale, just from a standpoint of freeing up space for the new stuff. We store all of our stuff at the high school in their equipment room, and they have stuff for middle school football, JV, varsity, so that a lot of space is taken up by our equipment.
Okay. So, Carrie, Director Kemp, just to clarify, the ordinance and the resolution are time sensitive?
I put the resolution as a first read just because we're receiving money, and it's just, I don't know if a lot of vetting really needs to be done on that, but it's up to you all, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, considering the time constraints with these two particular pieces of legislation, Resolution 2610, the donation of football equipment from the GCFF, we're going to place that on second reading for emergency passage. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Lang?
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. And the second piece of legislation regarding the football equipment is ordinance 2636, authorizing the sale of the city-owned football equipment. Are there any other questions from council regarding this piece of legislation? Okay. Director Kemp, thank you so much for staying with us and answering our questions today around this ordinance and resolution. At this time, I'd like to place ordinance 2636 on second reading for emergency passage. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Lang?
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
That legislation ordinance passes 7-0. Up next, Resolution 2611, County Fiscal Officer to advance taxes for 2027. Director Pay?
Thank you. Earlier this year, actually about a month and a half ago, we got notification from Cuyahoga County that they are no longer going to be advancing property taxes. This has been going on for pretty much all of my career as a fiscal officer for municipality. They are having issues with the state in getting tax budgets approved. We've seen a significant slowdown in getting our estimates of what our property tax are going to be. We used to be getting that about the second week in December, and now it's trickling into the next year. So despite what we got from the county earlier, that they're not going to do this program, that they're going to remit the taxes per the Ohio Revised Code, which I believe is in March and in August. Yeah, I was going to say September, but March and August are the times before you would get it sooner, earlier in the year, in various disbursements. So this is a resolution in just in case they change their minds, in case there is an ability to advance taxes. So I just wanted to have it on the record that if they do make a change, we have the resolution in place. Most likely not, but it's good to have. So that is, usually this is just perfunctory, word, standard operating procedure, but the rules have changed a little bit, and this is a just-in-case resolution that things go back to how they were.
How confident are we?
Not very.
Any questions from council regarding or Resolution 2611.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilwoman Mann.
So if they were advancing these taxes before, were we spending them?
These were property taxes. So the county, they do the assessments. They get an idea of how many properties are in arrears, and so they know the percent. So they do the calculations based on the millages of the various taxing entities within the county. So they have a pretty good estimate. However, they have to certify this with the state, and that is where kind of the delays have happened the past couple years in my experience. So because of this, they're pushed back, and so it's more difficult for them to advance taxes how they've done that in the past. So it is with property tax. They advance the funds based on their estimates, and then once kind of the numbers come in for the year, then you get a final settlement towards the end of the year. So that's been the process for 20 some years that I've been doing this. But because of changes at the state, they are not able to continue this year, unfortunately.
Okay, so when the money was coming in, though, like even though it was in advance, that it's basically like our payday here at the city.
Yeah.
We're getting paid. I know when I get paid, I spend it, even if it's in advance. If they're sending it to me a little early, I'm spending it. And if I'm in a habit of doing that, because they've been paying me early. Now, if they're suddenly like, we're not going to pay you until the actual day that the pay is due, or even after that, I might be a little pinched going forward until I get used to this new payday. Is that going to be the case with us?
It's not going to impact us financially because we have reserves, and our income tax revenues for our general fund is pretty steady. And we would still get the same amount by year end. So we're never going to hit where we're going to be in a deficit position because of this. It just helped get funds sooner. We were able to invest those funds if we did not have the ability to spend them. So the county gets to sit on our money and get investments while we do not.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, any other questions regarding the county collecting interest on our money? Okay. All right. Thank you, Director Pay. That was very much appreciated. Resolution 2611, County Fiscal Officer to advance taxes for 2027. I'd like to make a motion to put this on second, subsequent third read. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Councilman Lang.
Yes.
Minnick.
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Rayleigh.
Yes.
Mann.
Yes.
All right. That resolution passes 7-0. Resolution 2612, alternative tax budget for 2027. Director Pay.
All right, 'tis the season. This is the kickoff of the 27 budget calendar. This is required by the Ohio Revised Code, and it essentially taxing entities in the state of Ohio is required by the Ohio Revised Code. It needs to demonstrate the need for levied taxes. And so a tax budget is produced to say, yes, this is what we're levying and this is how we're going to spend it, and make sure that it shows on the positive end of the various funds for the city. It essentially just helps check a box, again, for the county and the state to ensure that, yes, the city is spending the money that it is taxing the properties. And I will have a exhibit of the actual tax budget that will be submitted to the county in committee. However, I wanted to close May 1st before that happens. So I had spoke with Councilperson Greenfield and Council President King, and would like this to continue with its readings, but be discussed in committee once again once I have the month closed and I can prepare the tax budget and share that and go through that tax budget with council. I just don't have the actual document yet because we haven't closed May.
All right. All right. Any questions from council regarding Resolution 2612, alternative tax budget for 2027? No? Oh, it sounds like we're going to have a big discussion on it, so we'll hold our questions till then. Thank you, Director Pay, for providing us some insight on Resolution 2612. At this time, I'd like to put it on second read and return it back to committee. Councilman Lang?
Yes.
Minnick?
Yes.
Greenfield, yes. King?
Yes.
Waring?
Yes.
Mann?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Then Mann, yes. All right, that passes. That resolution passes 7-0. That concludes the Finance Committee report. Thank you for listening so intently at 8:53 p.m.
All right, thank you. Next, we have board and commission reports. Do you have anything, Pat?
Nothing this evening.
Bill?
Councilwoman Kim will give the report.
Okay. Troy?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Sarah?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Rick?
Nothing for me.
Kim?
I have two. The Planning and Design Committee met Wednesday, May 20th. All members were present except Jennifer Kramer, and 3 items were on the agenda. Docket item 52609P, the resident at 20005 Lorraine Road wants to install a fence to fully enclose the yard to contain his dog. There's currently a wall belonging to the neighboring property that partially encloses the yard on one side, an old metal fence along the rear, and a wood shadow box fence extending along the other side of the property. The new fence will match the existing wood fence. The committee moved to approve and the motion passed unanimously. Docket 5-26-10P, the owners of Gunselman's Tavern would like to construct a metal roof to overhang the patio seating area to provide shade and protection from the elements for diners and employees. Colors of the materials will match the current exterior. There are no plans to enclose the space with walls, though clear vinyl panels may be considered in the future. The committee moved to approve and the motion passed unanimously. Docket 5-26-11P, the owners of 21405 Lorraine, currently Eden Academy, are requesting permission to remove 3 trees along the north frontage of the property, citing root damage to the parking lot and hazardous conditions to cars in the parking lot. It could not be determined from photos provided whether the trees were causing damage and required removal. Due to concerns of ongoing canopy loss in the city, members of the committee were hesitant to lose the shade provided by these trees unnecessarily. The owner was advised to obtain a written recommendation for removal from a certified arborist and appear at the next meeting of the Planning and Design Committee. The committee moved to defer this docket item until next month, and the motion was unanimously approved. Mr. Maynard reported that Building Department Inspector Marty Bayer passed away and will be greatly missed. This is an abrupt jump to the next thing, but Westgate has a new chicken salad restaurant moving into the space previously occupied by Crumble. I'm sorry for that transition. That sounds heartless, but it was for brevity that I wrote it, I guess. Anyway, the former 808 Shaved Ice building has been re-rented. The old Metro PCS and another space near the Corvette Lounge are also being re-rented. The former Preppy Pet space might be getting a new tenant also. The mayor reported that a transformer in front of the Gemini blew but was quickly repaired. He reminded all that West 210 repaving will begin June 1st and will be one way heading north. Work is expected to be complete by September. That concludes my report on the Planning and Design Committee. Board of Control met May 26th at 10 o'clock. All members were in attendance except Mayor Schneider. Councilwoman Kimberly Mann was in attendance as the alternate appointed by City Council for Councilman Bill Minnick. Also in attendance were Deanna Liebitz, okay, Director Kemp, Megan Cooney, Henry Chaskey, Chief Tony Raffin, and Mike Karenke of Simvey Services. 11 items were on the agenda. Fire Department requesting $890 added to an open purchase order with functional building supply for manufacturing overruns for 3 man doors. Money will come out of the EMS Fund number 781. Number 2, Service Department requesting $16,200 for the purchase of a gas furnace and ductwork at Bain Cabin from RCK Heating and Cooling. This will replace a defunct gas furnace and a malfunctioning mini split and supplemental portable air conditioning unit installed through the exterior wall. Ductwork has tested negative for asbestos. This quote is lower than the one received from Smith & Obie. Money will come from the Bain Cabin Restoration Fund number 711. Number 3, Service Department requesting $37,500 to pay Killeen Plumbing to remodel restrooms at Bain Cabin and replace an improperly decommissioned septic system with a sewer lateral connection. This will correct an ongoing EPA violation for effluent release into Coe Creek. This cost reflects savings provided by in-house Service Department members who will empty the septic tank prior to removal. Money will come from the Bain Park Restoration Fund number 711. Number 4, Service Department requesting $5,500 to pay Killeen Plumbing to reroute a storm lateral that is improperly tied to the sanitary line in the public right-of-way at 22530 Westwood Road. Killeen Plumbing was already performing work at the site when the violation was discovered and was able to quote a favorable price to correct it. Money will come from the Sanitary Sewer Fund number 510. Number 5, Sewer Department requesting $7,000 to pay Fairview Home Improvement for replacement of siding on service garage and window trim on City Hall. Director Hitch will monitor the work performed by the subcontractor. Money will come from the General Fund number 100. Number 6, Service Department requesting $11,670 to add to an open purchase order with Cuyahoga Electric LLC to rewire the finance office and Bain Cabin. In the finance office, this amounts to approximately $10,000 and will correct 6 code violations discovered in the course of doing flood restoration work. Due to the improper nature of the wiring being replaced, these repairs will not be covered by the insurance claim. The remainder is for faulty wiring in the cabin. Monies will come respectively from the General Fund number 100 and the Bain Cabin Restoration Fund number 711. Number 7, Service Department requesting $19,250 to pay Boyd Construction for repair to a wall and the reception area outside the Finance Department, as well as for construction of a baffle wall in front of the restrooms to provide line-of-sight privacy. Money will come from the General Fund number 100. Number 8, Mayor's Office requesting $2,000 to add to an open purchase order with Global Industrial for the purchase of a sound-enabled portable podium to be used for public events at the Gemini Center. This will be an upgrade from the shabby stationary podium currently in use. Money will come from the Recreation Fund number 230. Number 9, Mayor's Office requesting $17,628.40 to pay Collins Equipment Corporation for new fuel terminal equipment and software. This is not a replacement of the tank, just the controls. The Simvey Services representative advised this equipment is current and supported and will hopefully remain so for about 10 years. Money will come from the Permanent Improvement Fund number 260. Number 10, Mayor's Office requesting $1,000 to be added to an open purchase order with the Flag Ladies Flag Store for the purchase of brackets and poles that were damaged in the storm and need to be replaced before July 4th. Money will come from the General Fund number 100. And finally, number 11, Recreation Department requesting $4,500 to be added to an open purchase order with Cardio Partners for the purchase of 4 AED units to be placed in the 2 pool areas. Money will come from the Recreation Fund number 230. Motions to approve each of these requests were appropriately seconded and passed unanimously. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Good, thank you. The Rec Commission did not meet in May due to that transformer and loss of power for the afternoon. Okay, roundtable. Anything for roundtable, Pat?
Nothing this evening.
Okay, Bill?
Nothing, thank you.
Troy?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Sarah?
I'm not going to continue that. I actually do have a question for tonight. I know we're looking at starting the West 210th repaving June 1st, but I know we've all been driving up and down it. Our cars are very, very much looking forward to the repaving. There is a spot at the end of, and I think it's Stanford, I don't remember which, but it goes all the way out into West 210th, and the dip that we repaired, it is getting worse and worse. I don't know if there's even just a steel plate we can put over it for a temporary measure, but I mean, you have to, if you want your car to survive it, you have to get down to like 2 miles an hour at this point where that dip is. Or what I have also seen is cars going out into oncoming traffic and around it. And I think there's probably a safety hazard there. I wouldn't want to put money into something we're going to start tearing up in 2 weeks, but I also think we need to perhaps take a look at it.
June 1st is 6 days away.
Well, June 1st, the detour signs are going to go up, and then you're not talking, I mean, they're not going to have it fixed in 6 days. And that's still 6 days that people are potentially going into oncoming traffic. So like I said, maybe, I don't know if a steel plate is the answer, but if we could look at it.
We'll look at it. Construction is supposed to start June 1st. All the detour signs should be put up this week, so,
Okay, all right.
yeah, we'll take a look.
I appreciate that, thank you. And that's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rick, anything for roundtable?
I want to thank Mr. Maynard. He's very responsive this week to my constituents' concerns. Very good
Excellent,
job.
thank you. Kim, anything for roundtable?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Bill or administration, anything for roundtable?
Nope.
Liz, anything for roundtable?
Nope.
All right, tonight's meeting is now adjourned.
Good job, Troy.